Hello everybody, this is Ella. Today we are going to be doing practice problem 8.3 under the topic of machining and manufacturing processes. So now we have a body from the garden tab, and what we have here is a cutaway view. So you are to determine the machining operations used in the manufacturing and their most likely sequence. Note that the most likely machining operations have been separately grouped into top, A, outlet, B, and rear, C, regions, and have been numbered in no particular order. Alright, so firstly we are going to be focusing on the top part, A. So what we already have is something of this shape. You can see that over here it's already a hollow space, so we can assume that they've already drilled this big hole, and we have to make sure that we hatch it, because otherwise if this part is not sectioned we would not be able to see inside. So once you have this view, we're going to start the machining process. So firstly, we are going to be trying to get this part A6, which is this small hole at the very bottom. We have our first step, which is drilling A6, and indicate the drill to be rotating. And over here is the small hole that we will be getting. Next, we will be going to A7. So there is this small portion which is bigger than the hole beneath it. In order to do that, we use a form tool rather than a drill because there is less material to be removed. So here is our form tool, and this grips the tool that will actually cut out the material. Next, we're going to do A4. So A4 is going to be a boring process. So this bore is going to be positioned inside the hole, and it is going to have a single point cutting tool here. So the bore will rotate and enlarge the already existing hole with more accuracy. Next in line is A2. So A2 is this process. What we're going to be doing is spot face, indicate the direction of rotation. So spot facing will allow us to have a very smooth surface on the top. Next we will be doing part A1, and this part will be a special drill. Due to the tab shape being irregular, it cannot be clamped normally like you would a cylindrical piece and then do a lathe process around it. So what we're going to have is actually a special drill with a guide in the middle and this cutting tool jutting out of it. So when the guide is rotated on its axis, the cutting tool will go around in a circular motion and cut out the material until we get the radius needed for A1. Next will be A3. You will notice that there is a small hole at the point of A3, so in order to get this we will be using another form tool which will have this small shape to create that small slot inside it. The last point is A5. So in A5 the last thing to do is to make the threads. So in order to do threading internally we use a tapping tool. So the process will be called tap, and that gives you the threads. Next we move on to part B, which is this outlet. We are going to be doing the bottom part. So first of all, you are going to have to orientate the outlet in this way so that we can do the machining processes. So the first step in B is drilling. So you draw the drill for the radius of this hole. That's B4. Next is B5. So B5 is at the surface over here. So what we're going to do is spot facing so that we get a clean flat surface. Next is a special drill for B2, which will work around the outer radius of the outlet. The next step is for B1. So B1 is the part over here. So B1 will be a chamfering. So it will rotate over the top surface in order to get these two chamfers on the sides of the outlet. And lastly, for the outlet, we have to make the threads, and this is B3, so make the threads for this outer part. And to make external threads, we use a die cut. So it will rotate in this manner, and we will get the external threading. Now we move on to the rear part, and the first thing to do is to use a lathe chuck to hold the entire piece, and the chuck will rotate with the piece inside it while the drill moves inwards. So the first process will be C3. So C3 is drilling to get internal hole in the rear. Next we go on to C2, this area. And to get this we will be doing a straight turn in the direction from right to left using a lathe. A correction. This process on the left is actually C6 because C6 is the one pointing to the inner radius. Next is C1, which is machining done onto these surfaces. So we will be doing a face turn using this tool, direction going down. Next we go for C5. C5 is working on this surface, so we will be doing a face turn moving downwards. Next is C4. So for C4 you can see that the sides are actually chamfered, so we will use a tool to create the chamfer and it will be moving upwards. So lastly we have C3, and this is to create the threads on the rear end. And to create these external threads we will be using a die cut, and it moves from right to left. And that's it for practice problem 8.3.